have to admit that I am not much of a handyman. I would love to have those skills, but I just don't possess them very well. Nobody would ever offer to give me my own home repair remodeling TV show. I can tell you that. It would be really boring. It would consist mainly of scenes of me driving back and forth to the hardware store to get that other thing that I didn't know that I was going to need the first time that I went. It would consist of watching me watch YouTube videos of how to repair certain things to try to learn, or me calling friends on the phone who know more about it than I do. But I did have a little home repair project this weekend. Our front door, the deadbolt on our front door was not working well. It would get stuck, and it was hard to be hospitable when you couldn't get the door open and couldn't let people in your house. And Gayla teaches piano lessons, and it's kind of suboptimal when the piano and the piano teacher are inside and the piano student is stuck on the porch. So the door had to be fixed. Now, my first approach always when there's some type of home repair project is to wait and hope it'll get better. And I tried that approach for a couple of weeks, and it did not work. The door was still not functioning, so I finally decided on Friday to go at it. And when I do actually start the project, there are several outcomes that are possible. The most likely outcome is that it still won't be fixed after I'm done. The second most likely outcome is that I'll get it successfully taken apart, but won't be able to put it back together, and then we'll just be stuck with a door that's just open for the whole world. The third most likely outcome, though, actually happened this time, and that's that I successfully repair it. I got the bolt, I got it taken apart, I sprayed a little, Gayla's clapping, she's excited. A little WD-40 sprayed on it, got it put back together. We have a working lock now. I'm amazed. It is kind of stunning for me, actually, to have success on a project of that magnitude. Now, thankfully, Jesus is a much more capable repair person, a much more capable remodeler than I am. And we've been exploring on the last few Sundays that he is in the middle of a renovation project in your heart and mind. He is renovating your character and mind. He is working to make us more like him. And we've seen that the blueprint for this remodeling project he's got going in our lives is the fruit of the Spirit. The scripture tells us in Galatians 5 that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are character traits of Jesus himself. He lived them perfectly, and he wants to see us live them as well. And he's building those traits into us. And today we're going to talk specifically about the character trait. The fruit of the Spirit is gentleness. Now, let's be honest, this is not necessarily a trait that we crave. This is not necessarily a trait that we think we want to have, but God is working to build it into us. We're going to look at a passage of scripture, Matthew 11, verse 29. Kimberly read it for us just a moment ago. But take a look at these words of Jesus once again and see what we can learn from them. Matthew 11, 29. Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Now, there's some important observations about gentleness that we can see in this verse. And the first is that gentleness is not what we thought it was. If Jesus says, "I am gentle," then maybe our definition of gentleness needs to be tweaked a little bit. We really misunderstand this expression of the fruit of the Spirit. We picture the gentle person as the person who's cowering in the corner, the person who's afraid of their shadow, the person who's timid, the person who might have no backbone, they're just kind of a pushover. The truth is, we wrongly equate it with wimpiness. We assume that if you are gentle, that means you're a wimp. We wrongly equate gentleness with wimpiness. We assume that meekness equals weakness. And we think of the person who is gentle as the person who is weak and spineless and always gets run over. But if Jesus says, "I am gentle and humble in heart," then obviously that definition needs to be adjusted. This is Jesus we're talking about. This is the one who once saw a stormy sea in the middle of the night and thought, "You know what? I think I'll take a walk on the water." This is the person who once encountered a demon-possessed man, a guy who Stephen King couldn't invent on his best day, a guy who had a legion of demons making him their barracks, who cut himself with stones and couldn't be shackled with chains and lived in tombs. And he came running to Jesus, and he fell down on the ground afraid in front of Jesus. Gentle Jesus. Gentle Jesus is the one who called out the religious leaders of his day. He called them a bunch of hypocrites and snakes, the powerful religious leaders. He's the one who called out Herod, who was the face and fist of Rome, and said that Herod was a sneaky fox. He had such audacity about himself that he was executed for his rebelliousness, for being a revolutionary. I mean, let's face it, nobody executes Mr. Rogers. That's just not really something that you do. He went to the cross and stared down all the forces of death and hell. This is gentle Jesus who did all these things. So if he is gentle and he did all those things, then maybe our definition of gentleness needs some adjustment. What is this fruit of gentleness? It's obviously not wimpy weakness. So what is it? The Greek word for gentleness is the word prautes, and it can be translated as gentleness or meekness. It's a word that's actually used to describe an animal that's been domesticated. And it's a tough word to capture in English. It means under control. It means calm. Maybe one of the best definitions of gentleness is its quiet strength. It's quiet strength. Gail and I went to the Louisville Zoo many, many years ago, and I still remember one of the zookeepers, a little small young lady, had an elephant that was just walking around the zoo. The elephant didn't have a leash, not that a leash would do a whole lot of good with an elephant, but the only thing the lady had to guide this elephant was a little small stick in her hand that she would tap the elephant on the shoulder, and the elephant would go where she told it to go. And I remember being amazed, this elephant could just be doing whatever it wants to do, could be running amok, could be using its massive size and strength for all kinds of destruction, but that strength was under control. And that's gentleness. Gentleness means you're not harsh, you're not rough, you're aware of the feelings of others, you're considerate, you're not abrasive or abusive. And gentleness is the opposite of pushiness. If you're gentle, then you're not constantly forcing yourself, not constantly trying to force your way, not constantly wanting to manipulate people and circumstances so that they turn out the way that you want them to. Gentleness is how you treat something that is valuable and fragile. Let's say that Zach here, our camera operator, asked you to take that camera back to Carl at the desk at the back. And you would realize probably that camera is really expensive and it's also really fragile. So you're probably not going to just pick it up and chunk it back there to Carl. You're going to treat it with gentleness because you know that it's valuable and it's fragile. Well, the hearts of the people in your life are valuable and fragile, and we treat them with gentleness because of that. Gentleness. It's also something that has horizontal and vertical dimensions. It has to do with the way that we treat others horizontally. It impacts our relationships. We're going to be considerate. We're going to be not rude with other people if we're gentle. But there's also a vertical dimension. It has to do with our relationship with God. We don't want to try to be pushy with God. We don't want to demand our own way from Him. The Vine's Dictionary of New Testament Words defines gentleness this way. The exercises of it are first and chiefly towards God. It is that temper of spirit in which we accept His dealings with us as good, and therefore without disputing or resisting. So the gentle person is able to say, God, I know you're good, and so I'm going to trust you to decide what I can handle. I'm going to trust you to decide what comes into my life. I'm not going to try to make myself the one who determines everything and try to force my way in all circumstances. I'm going to know that you're good and that you're at work, and I'm not going to panic. I'm going to work hard, of course. I'm going to do my best to try to bring good things into my life and into the lives of the people around me, but I'm going to leave the outcome to you, confident that I'm leaving it in good hands. And gentleness means I don't try to force my way in life. I'm not trying to run over you. I'm not trying to run the world. If the fruit of gentleness is growing in my life, then I'm calm and under control in the way that I approach other people, and I'm calm and under control in the way that I approach God and life. I'm not continually freaking out, not continually trying to make things go my way, not trying to force my way. Now, a few more observations about gentleness from Matthew 11:29, the verse that we read. We see that gentleness and humility go together. Jesus says, I am gentle and humble in heart. And these two traits are often paired in Scripture. It's kind of a package deal. And humility, let's remember, doesn't mean I think I'm worthless. You've heard me say before, humility doesn't mean I think less of myself. It means I think of myself less. Humility means I'm just not all that concerned with my reputation, my image, my ego. It's not the thing that drives me is thinking about me. It's kind of a healthy self-forgetfulness. And you can see that if I lack humility, I'm going to lack gentleness. Kimberly did a beautiful job of describing that in the children's message a moment ago. But if I am not humble, if I think the universe revolves around me, if I think it's all about me, if I have an obsessed and exalted view of myself, then the worst possible thing that could happen is for me not to get my way, or for somebody not to think of me the way that I think they should. And so I'm going to force my way. I'm going to push myself on people. I'm going to push my answers on people. If I'm not humble, I'm not going to be able to be gentle. Only a humble person can be a gentle person. We also see from Jesus' words that gentleness is a condition of the heart. Gentleness is a condition of the heart. Jesus says, I am gentle and humble in heart. It's more than just a way that you act. It's more than just something on the outside. And with all of the fruit of the Spirit, it's something that grows within us. It is a character trait. It is something that is in our soul, in our heart, that then expresses itself on the outside in the way that we act, the way we speak, the decisions that we make. But Jesus doesn't just want you to do gentle things. He wants you to be a gentle person. He wants you to be a person whose attitude toward him and toward others is a healthy one, and then that shows up in the things that happen on the outside. We also see from Jesus' words that it is good to be gentle. If Jesus is gentle, then clearly it's desirable for us to be the same. If gentleness is a fruit of the Spirit, something that God is working to grow in us, then clearly gentleness is a good thing. Jesus actually said in the Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the meek, and that's the same Greek word underneath that, translated meek there, that's translated gentle elsewhere. Blessed are the gentle, Jesus says. They will inherit the earth. Colossians 3:12 says, clothe yourself with gentleness. 1 Timothy 6:11 says, pursue gentleness. This is clearly something that's a good thing, something that is desirable for us. It's a priority that God has for us. It is good to be gentle. But we don't passionately seek gentleness. Many of the aspects of the fruit of the Spirit are things that we instinctively want. We want to be joyful. We want to be loving. We want to be peaceful. But I don't know that we always want to be gentle. You don't hear a lot of coaches. Andy Reid's not going to be saying here in a few hours as the Chiefs get ready to go out, all right, let's see some gentleness out there. That's just not going to be part of the pregame pep talk. You don't have a lot of politicians running for office based on the promise that if you elect me, I will lead with gentleness. Sadly, most of them are running, I'll be the biggest bully. I'll be as mean as I can possibly be for your sake. We think that's the only way to get things done. There are not a lot of best-selling books out there developing meekness in 5 simple steps. It's just not something that we crave. But God says it's good to be gentle, but sometimes, honestly, we're not sure we agree with him. The world does not say, blessed are the gentle, blessed are the meek. The world says, blessed are the aggressive, blessed are the go-getters, blessed are the forceful. And sometimes we fear that if we're gentle, we'll get run over. We fear that if we're gentle, then other people are going to just plow us down. And a couple of responses to that fear that I would share with you. The first one, and this might sound a little ungentle to say this, but my first response is, so what? If someone doesn't treat you well, is that the end of the world? If you are still confident that God is on the throne, then if you are gentle and you don't get your way because of it, if you are gentle and someone is not gentle to you in response, you'll still be okay. You'll still make it. So what? But an even bigger response to that fear that if we're gentle, we'll get run over is you won't. Because a gentle response is stronger than a hostile one. Being gentle will not cause people to run over you because there's actually tremendous strength in gentleness. The book of Proverbs points this out several times. One proverb says that a gentle answer turns away wrath. When someone comes at you with wrath, when they come at you with volume, with intensity, with anger, and you respond with volume, intensity, and anger, well, guess what? It just escalates. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But if they come at you with antagonism and anger and volume, and you respond with gentleness, then that has a tendency to break the cycle. It's part of why Jesus taught us to turn the other cheek. It's not because he's calling us to be a wimp. It's because he recognizes that if we respond gently to someone else's harshness, it makes it a lot harder for them to be harsh. Another proverb says, a gentle tongue can break a bone. There's power in a gentle response. Gentle does not mean wimpy. Gentleness shows that we're strong enough not to let the other person run over us. Gentleness shows others that we're strong enough that we can let our response be shaped by Jesus and not be shaped by the other person's antagonism, anger, volume, etc. You won't get run over. It's good to be gentle. And just for a minute, let's imagine the improvement. Imagine what it would be like if the fruit of gentleness were fully developed in you. Imagine how your life would be different if you could say with honesty and integrity, like Jesus says here, I am gentle and humble in heart. It's hard to picture because most of us are a million miles away from gentleness. I bet there are times when you are less than gentle with the people around you, when you try to force your way. But imagine what it would be like to approach life with a gentle heart. I suspect it would be a big improvement over your current situation. Imagine your family dynamics, for example, if you were gentle. If you asked for a word association game of the people that you live with, the people in your family, and you asked them to describe you in one word, how many of them would say gentle as that word? No elbowing of the people near you, please. That would not be gentle. But what if you were? What if you were a person who was gentle? I know that your family would love it if you treated them as if they were valuable and fragile. And wouldn't it be nice not to have to deal with the regret that comes from losing your cool and blowing your top with the people that you live with, the people that you love the most? What if you were gentle with your family? And imagine the impact on the relational dynamics around you if you were able to live with gentleness. How freeing would it be if when someone said something ugly about you, you had the quiet strength to realize that you don't have to respond in kind. That just because the other person is acting like an idiot doesn't mean you have to act like an idiot. That you can respond with gentleness even when they are coming at you with harshness. Wouldn't that be freeing? And imagine the overall decrease in the stress level in your life if you could live with gentleness. If you could live without the intensity that comes from thinking, I have to achieve this, I have to have this outcome, things have to go this way or I'm not going to be happy, if instead you could leave some of those outcomes to God. What a relief to be able to lay that down and say, Lord, I'm going to seek you with all my heart. I'm going to work as hard as I can to achieve your good aims in the world, but I'm going to accept whatever you send my way. I'm glad you are in charge. And when we stop trying to force our way, when we lose that narrow sense of this is the way things must turn out or life is not going to be okay, when we can gently release that, then anxiety evaporates. Gentleness would be a huge improvement over our normal approach to life. It is good to be gentle. One more observation from Matthew 11:29 is that we learn gentleness from Jesus. You hear what he said? He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. Jesus is gentle, and he wants us to learn gentleness from him. If you want to have gentleness, You can't just go and achieve that by your own effort. It's something that you learn from him. It's something that rubs off from him when you spend time with him. He wants to show you how to be gentle. He wants to be your teacher, and part of his lesson plan in your life is to teach you to be gentle like he is. But notice that Jesus wants to be more than your teacher too. Not only does he say, learn from me, but he says, take my yoke on you. Now, we don't talk a lot about yokes in 2023 in Lee Summit, Missouri, but if you lived in the first century before John Deere was invented and you wanted to plow a field, you would have a team of oxen, and those oxen would be connected to one another and connected to the plow by a yoke. The yoke was the thing that let you control where the animals went. And when Jesus says, take my yoke on you, he's saying, accept my authority over you. Let me be the one to direct you and tell you where to go. Let me drive. Let me be the one who points you in the direction that you should go and lead you there. Let me guide you. Hand me the steering wheel. And we can trust him to do that because he lived a perfect life, a life that was full of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. He showed us how to live. And then he went to the cross and he died, paying the price for all of our wrongs. And then he defeated death, rising from the grave, and is alive forevermore. And now he is working to make you and to make me like him, to teach us how to be gentle and how to have all these other traits of his. And he wants you to come to him. He wants to nourish that connection that you have with him. And he wants to produce this amazing fruit in you. He wants you to submit to his authority and to let him teach you. So a prayer that we could pray today is simply this: Jesus, you drive. Maybe that's a modern expression of the realization that we need to take his yoke on us. We need to let him direct us. We need to let him set the course. We need to let him show us and guide us and where to go. Jesus, you drive. You tell me how you want me to live today. You tell me how you want me to live for all of my life. I give myself to you. I want you to be my teacher. I need you to be my Savior. I want you to be my Lord, the one who guides me from this day forward. Would you bow with me in prayer, please? Jesus, we agree with you that the way that you want us to live is the way that works out best. Even when this world says that gentleness is just a way to get run over, we know that you're smarter than the world. And you show us that it's possible to live with a quiet strength that doesn't get overwhelmed when others lash out at us, that doesn't insist on its own way. And Jesus, we pray that you will help us to receive that fruit of gentleness from you. Teach us how to live gently. Help us to receive your teaching and your yoke, your authority over us. And Lord, help us now to respond to who you are, saying yes to whatever it is that you are saying to us. In your name we pray. Amen.